Ah, this is fun. Hey, everybody, it's your favorite dynamic duo, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast and
Karmea Wells, the other Southern Belle.
welcome. We are going live today. We have a very special guest today. This lady is phenomenal. This is powerful. This is epic. I love talking about this topic. Karmea, I know you love talking about this topic, but I really love talking about dating. But this lady is really changing the game, and she's really changing the game in the dating industry, in the dating world, and bringing an opportunity for us as Christians, as believers, to really connect in the new age, right? No more meeting at the podium, no more holding hands and Googling the first lady anymore. No, we are connecting in the 21st century, and this lady is leading the charge. So you all won't want to miss 1 second of what she has to say. Here we go. I'm on it. Hey, everybody, it's your favorite co-host, Marcus and
Karmea Wells, the unorthodox Southern Belle.
And we are bringing to the stage Miss Michelle Apples. This woman is absolutely dynamic. She is the founder of the new Christian Singles Hub. This hub she does matchmaking service, retreats, and she is helping singles all across the globe connect with God being the focus and God being the principle and God being the heart of that connection. And what really stood out to me is this woman is really doing it big. She's doing it on a large scale. And we are so honored to have her on the show today to talk about this new age. She is bringing dating back to the 21st century, right? It's no more meeting at the podium, no more connecting. You can still do that, right? You can still connect at church, but now she's taking it online and taking it to the virtual space, and she's taking it to you and bringing this to you to the forefront. So without further ado, I can't hold this dynamic lady back. Miss Michelle Apples.
Yay!
Miss Michelle, thank you for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast show.
So good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm excited. You can tell I'm excited. I need to stop drinking coffee. I really need to calm down. I just get super dope. I love podcasts. You can tell I love this. But Miss Apples, I want to dive into the sauce, right? I want to dive into the sauce. Your story is a dynamic story. It's a powerful story. And there is a lot to you that a lot of people may not look. You look fabulous, by the way. All y'all ladies look fabulous. I look like a train wreck. But Miss Apples, I want to ask the hard question. What inspired this? What inspired your journey to really take things to the next level and create the Christian Singles Hub? What inspired this? There's always a story here.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really cool actually because it's nothing I would have done on my own, and it was truly just orchestrated by the Lord. When I started this, it wasn't a matter of like I saw vision for it. I just saw a need for it. I just saw Christian singles not knowing how to date, not knowing how to connect with one another, not knowing how to meet other great Christian singles. I left the church for quite some time. When I got back to the church and got back to my faith, I just felt really awkward dating after having dated in the secular world, and now all of a sudden coming back to try to date in the Christian world. It was so weird. The opposite sexes were not talking to each other. Every conversation was like, it was just strange. If you had a conversation with the opposite sex, you're automatically interested in them. And it was just this weird thing that I didn't know myself how to navigate. And I just heard from so many other people that they also didn't know how. And so for years of struggling with that, and then the pandemic hit and everyone became so isolated. And it really just happened supernaturally, super organically. And it's just grown so much because there is such a need for spaces for Christian singles to meet one another, meet people with like-minded values and morals, and yeah, just really connect and allow God to do what only God can do.
That's major. That's major. And that's necessary. I think a lot of things got started in the pandemic. And so a lot of opportunities presented themselves because people were desperate to get out and people were desperate to connect, like you said. But we didn't have an ability to go out and connect in the traditional way of holding hands or bike riding or kayaking or horseback riding or archery and in very unique ways, right? And so this is a place where people can connect virtually, but you still have some of those things. And I want to ask, what are some of the options that Christian Singles Hub specializes in? Because matchmaking services terrifies the dinkins out of me, right? That is scary, right? I am this you remind me, me and my lady, we are watching Love is Blind, and recently we started watching what's the other one? Married at First Sight. So I'm terrified of matchmaking, sir. But can you talk to what Christian Singles Hub specializes in, all the ways that you connect Christians together?
Yeah, I love that because yes, we kind of started as a matchmaking agency. I used to work for other matchmaking agencies before I really started what I was doing. So that was just a natural progression into it. And then I just saw such a bigger need where yes, matchmaking has its purpose, but not everyone, like you said, like not everyone wants to go that route. And so we do everything from just virtual singles nights out. So it's a low pressure, just a lot of people that you can just connect with organically. We also have virtual speed dating events that you get to talk to the opposite sex and have these rounds where you just get to meet a lot of people. But we also do retreats and we do a annual summer camp for Christian single adults, which again is just a safe place where you just take the pressure off. It's not so much about dating or getting into a romantic relationship, but hey, let's just go attend, meet amazing people, have so much fun, encounter the Lord in amazing ways, and then organically if something happens then it's amazing. And so we really are just so multifaceted in so many ways that we offer Christian singles opportunities to connect with one another. That isn't, I know dating is not a one size fits all. So I didn't want to just create just a matchmaking agency where that was kind of the only way, but I knew there was such a need and that dating isn't a one size fits all. Like you said, like matchmaking is scary to me, but you might say like going to a summer camp and having fun with some other like-minded amazing individuals. And we've had people meet their best friend. I know two girls right now who met through our community and they're over doing missions in a different country for a month together. And we've had people fly to go visit each other and we've had relationships form. And we've had people go to summer camp and say, because I went to summer camp, my confidence built and I was able to go to the virtual speed dating event where I met my boyfriend. And if I wouldn't have went to that summer camp, I wouldn't have felt like this was a safe place to then go and do other events or have that confidence I needed to do it. And so we know that dating is not a one size fits all, and we want to be able to offer those opportunities for everyone, not just for someone who's searching for a matchmaker, but truly for anyone seeking just connection and community, we have something for you.
So you did explain some of the things that you have available for basically Christians that are trying to find someone, or even just find what's the word, friendships. But what would make your platform different than other platforms like Christian Mingle and things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think with what we're doing, I mean, again, it's so multifaceted. So if you go on a Christian dating app, most Christian dating apps are actually not ran by Christians. So this is a Christian business ran by Christians who know the struggles of Christian dating. But again, going back to dating apps, it's like, yeah, dating apps are a great online space and they're a tool. Most people use them ineffectively, but they're a tool you can use. They don't necessarily have that opportunity for people to meet up in person and get to know people in an organic way. So I think we just offer so many variety of things where people can kind of dip their toe in before, like I said, someone came to summer camp and was like, oh, this is really safe. I met amazing people. I felt empowered. I felt encouraged. I felt lifted up. And now I felt safe enough to then go to a dating event. And so I think we're different because like you don't really see people who run these big dating apps. You don't see them as customer facing, where I'm the owner and I'll be at the retreats. You can talk to me. We can have conversations. You'll see my heart for Christian singles and why we do what we do. And so I think that stands out amongst people, is they can trust us and it's a safe place.
I love that. I love that. We need that. We really need that in the community. We need a safe space. We need a safe environment to connect. But what things do you guys do to incorporate in along with the fellowship, along with the relationship aspect? What things do you do to incorporate God in these matchmaking and in these events? Is it like tic-tac-toe for Jesus? Are we incorporating, bingo night? Ephesians 6? Like, how do you physically incorporate? Can you give some examples there on how you guys incorporate
Yeah.
the,
Of course. Our motto is Matthew 6:33, seeking first the kingdom and his righteousness, and everything else will be added. So we always point it back to Jesus in everything we do, whether that's like our virtual events, which again are only quick little events. We'll pray into the event and just give the evening over to the Lord. But our retreats, we have worship nights, we have prayer sessions, we have Bible studies, our summer camps. So we also add those elements into it, because at the end of the day, that's what connects us all. We may all be very different. We may be all coming from different backgrounds and different places, but that's what connects us is our faith. And so when you get just 50, 60, 80 people in a room just worshiping the Lord, it's a beautiful thing, and it just connects you all on such a deeper level as well. And so we incorporate those at every single event we have. Like the last retreat we did in Florida, and we were right on the ocean. It was so beautiful. We did worship out the back on the back patio, and you just heard the waves crashing, and it was people's favorite part of the whole event. And so we always incorporate faith into it, which can be challenging because obviously we're not just targeting one denomination. There's people that have very different denominations that are coming in, or different things. But I think what I've seen is that no one feels like awkward about that. It's just, hey, we might express differently how we worship the Lord, but we can all learn from one another. And I think that's what really is just incredible about our events.
That's powerful. That's super powerful. That's super powerful. What is the pain point that you see a lot of couples struggling with in relationships and dating? Is it fear? Is it lack of communication? What is the common denominator that you see a lot of couples struggling when connecting?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I actually am recently married myself. So just walking into being a newlywed. Yeah, I think, unfortunately, what I see a lot of is that people, especially because we deal with a lot of older singles where they almost rush into that relationship, rush into marriage, rush into, and it not being like from the Lord. It's actually just like, I don't want to be single anymore because I have a timeline of when this was supposed to happen and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm trying to like almost rush out of singleness to get into a relationship, to get married. Um, and it just causes a lot of grief and a lot of heartache in the long run, because it's always best to wait on the Lord's timing. And as someone who like literally was so sure that my husband was from the Lord, our relationship is such a beautiful gift. So yeah, I think that I see a lot of, especially again, as we have, people over the age of 30 is more of our average age range. And so, you think of, especially as women, you're like, I have a quick, my clock is ticking, I have to get
Right.
married. And I've seen that. And it's actually really sad because I've seen people, that, came into our community almost with this desperation. And then like a year later, their husbands are cheating on them, or, they just had a baby and their husbands are nowhere to be found. And like, it is heartbreaking because you see this and you're like, this is what we're trying not to do. And they didn't meet their husband in our community, but it's like, I would rather someone in no relationship than the wrong relationship, because it's going to cause a lot of pain later on, if you rush into something that isn't for you, than if you truly wait on God's timing. And so I'd say that's the most heartbreaking thing that I see, often when people kind of rush into relationships that they're not supposed to be in.
Absolutely. So you're saying people join the network, they join the hub, and they found someone and connected someone outside of the hub.
Yeah, I think often, and it does happen a lot where people will almost, because it's like you start to open yourself up to opportunities, and it doesn't matter whether you meet in the hub or outside. If you meet the right person, that's amazing. But I think there's like a shift then when you're like closed off and you're, almost isolated. Then when you start opening up yourself and having like subconsciously, there's something that happens, even if you don't even like think it does. Oftentimes you will meet someone, whether it's through the hub or not, is beyond me. But it's really cool to see that, just the shift in people when they start to say, okay, I'm actually like putting myself in new environments, and I'm ready and I've done the work to now get into that relationship.
And now release, go out into the world and do good and find love. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
What if I'm coming in and I'm not a Christian yet, but I do want to make a grounded connection? I see a lot of that on the social. Carmia, do you see a lot of that? I feel like people are
Hmm.
like, I'm not a Christian, but I'm going to church. I don't believe in Jesus
Right.
Christ. I'm
Hmm.
spiritual, but I want to be amongst good character and good morale and good people. Is that something allowed, or no? You gotta be all in, sir or
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah, no, I've never kind of had those rules or regulations around it. And why? It's because like I've always said, like you have a seat at our table. That's always my slogan is like you have a seat at our table. It doesn't matter who you are or your background or where you are, because Jesus sat at tables with sinners, and yet he loved them where they were. He didn't accept what they were doing or their lifestyle, or but he gently like spoke life to them and empowered them into who they could be. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. I mean, in our community is like I've seen people, because of the encouragement of our community and the faith of our community, the empowerment of our community, go and do things that they would have never done in their life and stepped out in faith because of our community. And that's the power of being in community who wants to love you, wants to see you, wants to know you, wants to empower you, and like and speak that identity into you. I think, I heard it this way once, that you're so much more likely to love someone into life transformation than you are to condemn them into it. And so
Hmm.
that's for me, it's like we just want to love people where they're at. Hey, do I think that you need to like go and try to get into a relationship with someone who's like on fire for the Lord if you're not there? No, probably not going to work out so well.
Yeah,
But you have a seat at our table, and we just want to love you where you're at. And hopefully you will sense the love of Christ from us that will pour into you, that you'll want to know him more.
absolutely, absolutely. So I feel that, and that's true. Jesus did break bread. I forget the quote. It's like he broke bread with sinners, but he wasn't sinning, right? He would hang around sinners,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean he was a sinner himself. He was just caught in those spaces. So he's in the prostitution bar, but that doesn't mean he's there for that. He's still evangelizing, he's still working on behalf of his heavenly Father and still working to love on people, right? That's the ultimate commandment.
Mhm.
Love thy neighbor, love you like the church. And so that's huge. That's powerful. I really, really love that, me Christian can walk in there and I can introduce you to my spouse, Saddam Hussein, who's Muslim, and now, hey, we're gonna still love on you. We're gonna still break bread with you. So that's
Mhm.
powerful. That's huge.
Mhm.
Huge, huge, huge. Miss Apples, I wanted to touch on the aspect of hey, same difference. Excited. You see, I'm not the only person excited to have you here, Miss Apples. This is huge. So, Miss Apples, I wanted to ask a question when it comes to Christian Singles Hub. What was your last event? What was that like? Where did you guys go? And how was it? What give us some feedback. Give us the juice on what you did so I could want to be excited to come.
Yeah, so good. So, I mentioned that I'm a newlywed. My husband and I are actually currently on a full US tour. So we
Ooh.
have renovated an RV and we're living in it and we're traveling across the entire United States and we're hosting gatherings and meetups, retreats, events, all sorts of things. So, for example, we just did a hike in Denver, Colorado. Before that, we did like a little meetup in Colorado Springs. We went to Universal Studios in Orlando. We did a brunch cruise in Tampa. We've done so many cool things, which is awesome. We had a retreat in Panama City Beach in Florida, which was awesome. So yeah, we're just kind of going around the whole country. We're actually currently in New Mexico. We're going to Phoenix tomorrow. So we have a meetup in Phoenix, I think next week or the week after. So we are just hosting community gatherings in local spaces to get to know the Christian singles in different areas. And we hope to get local hubs going so that people don't just have to, like, a lot of people fly into our retreats, which is amazing. But it's like we want to have local hubs in different communities across the United States so that people have a space that they can really go and shelter in, go and meet like-minded people. We did a service project in Houston, and this guy was like, I didn't know community like this existed. He was a new Christian a couple years in, and he said, I thought I would have to like go to bars to meet people because I didn't know how else to meet community. And so I think that's just the power in doing what we're doing. And so yeah, so we're just going around and hosting events as we go. So we're excited to see what God does this year.
So wait. We not meeting at the club. We not meeting at the bar. We not meeting at Freaknik. No, I'm just
Now
kidding.
you know.
No, I'm just- there are listen. Jesus drank wine. I don't want to hear it. Jesus drank wine. So if
Hey, I
so,
like wine
That-
too, you know?
yeah.
I don't think Hennessy is included, but okay.
So that was a thing when many moons ago when I was in the dating scene. I remember I did try Christian Mingle. Is that what it was? Christian Mingle. And it was like, oh, we
Mhm.
having a meetup at a local bar. And I'm like, this don't seem Christian. like,
Mm,
like I'm not. First off, I don't drink. Right? Anybody ask me, I don't drink. I'm not a drinker, but I'll drink the mess out of some apple cider. Right? I will drink that to the
Mhm.
ground. But I love a red wine at home. But I don't drink socially. I feel you can have fun without alcohol out in town, out with
Mhm.
friends, out with family, all of that. But and so she mentioned the retreats, she mentioned the gathering, she mentioned flying out. What's another venue that you guys are doing meetups? Movies? I think movies could be pretty safe, I guess, if it's not Passion of the Christ or PG-13 and no.
yeah, I mean, it's just hard to connect with people. I mean, you got to think of it as like a bunch of strangers coming to meet up, and you go and watch a movie, and you can't really connect or talk to one another. So a lot of times we do like hikes or we do like food hauls, so people can, like, there's multiple options of food, restaurants. We have like as like a stargazing and hot chocolate night coming up in Zion National Park. We have, yeah, and so like we have a ton of things planned. We do absolutely try to not revolve them around alcohol. I know that's a slippery slope for so many people, and that's the last thing we want to do. Again, like this guy saying, like, I thought that was the only way. It's like, if maybe he had a problem with alcohol years ago and he felt, or whatever, it's like we don't want to be a negative influence on people's lives. We want to create these healthy spaces that people, again, don't feel like they have to drink. Now, if you leave a retreat and you want to go grab beers with people, that's not on me. Like, hands are off. Once you leave the retreat, what you do is what you do. But in our spaces, people have asked me that before, like, oh, it'd be great if we could get some beer around the campfire at the retreat. I'm like, no, you know what? You can have a weekend without it. Like, why can't you have a weekend without it? And honestly, they leave it and they're like, oh, yeah, you were right. But I think people are so used to, like, it's such a normal thing that people are so used to, like, this is what I have to do in community spaces, in community gatherings. And then people come to like a full weekend retreat and they're like, oh, wow, I actually didn't need that at all. And I had so much fun.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You forgive me for looking down. I'm taking notes. That's the beauty of having these podcasts is you get to watch the replay and you get to take notes and learn from the experts. So this is me being selfish because stargazing, she had me at stargazing and chocolate. So I'm stealing that. I'm stealing the stargazing and the hot chocolate. I didn't even think of that one. So that's good. Stargazing, hot chocolate, no alcohol, and no twerk fest. All right. Got it. Got it. Love it. Love it. That's powerful. And I love that you guys change it up. You change the dynamic. I don't need alcohol to have fun. I love that. I love that. And that is so powerful. That's so necessary. Miss Apples, congratulations again. I love married couples. Most of my friends, I don't know what it is. I have an old soul. I love connecting to older married couples because that's where I want to be. That's where I want to go. Do you mix and match that at these retreats? Like, do you have examples or well, you're dealing with 30, so not chaperones, but do you have like older generation kind of mixing with the younger generation to kind of inspire them? Like, look at this couple.
Like a mentor, like a mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've always said, like, we only started in 2020. We've always said, like, once you're in the community, your family, and there's been people that have gone on to get married and they're still plugged into our community. And I'm like, hey, that's amazing. Now you get to mentor people that want to be where you are. In terms of having like older married couples who have been married for a long time, we don't really have that in, but I do absolutely recommend that. Like, one of the most powerful times in my life was when God started placing these incredible couples around me to give me vision for my future marriage. And so that's something I absolutely tell people, like, get around amazing Christian couples because you'll learn so much and you'll be able to understand about like where you see yourself going. What does that look like? Because I grew up only ever seeing very toxic relationships. I actually didn't want to get married for a long time in my life because I never had an example of what healthy marriage looked like. And so I was like, if this is marriage, I don't really care to have it. But when God started bringing these amazing couples into my life, I started getting vision for my own marriage. And honestly, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to recognize my husband when I did meet him. And so, yeah, it's something I absolutely love. I think it's challenging because a lot of these retreats and events that we do, we're not necessarily like in my local community. I'm actually from Canada, but my husband and I technically live in Nashville, but we're on the road full time. So it's not like there's couples around that we necessarily know, like we're doing our summer camp in Lake Tahoe. I don't know couples in Lake Tahoe to like come and like offer some sound advice, right? So I think that's the struggle with being on the road full time is like you don't have those core people that you could invite in that and trust to come and speak and like what they're saying is actually like how they're living their life as well.
I don't necessarily want to, especially on a retreat, I don't want to kind of show my fatness, right? And we hiking, and now now a potential candidate is looking at me like, man, he huffing a little too hard. Let me wait until they get down from the mountain, and then I'll do my wooing. my wooing and my courtship. But that's tough. That is tough. When you had me at the hike part, I was like, oh, hiking. I don't want. Or like I said, if it's like stargazing, and I'm like, look at the Big Dipper. You like watermelons? That's awkward. Like that's not romantic at all. So you have people for the first time probably dating in this way, right? What? I don't have alcohol. So what do I say? Usually I just kind of buy
Mm.
them a drink and that's kind of it. And that's hard. That's hard to do because now I got to really think about matchmaking and really connecting people. But I really miss, and I wish we had more. Oh, we have a question from the audience. Sorry. I want to bring a question up. I don't want to ignore people. Does being in a cramped area RV ever cause friction? Ooh,
Oh, that's a
good
good
question.
one.
That's a good one.
Um, yeah, it's wild what God is doing in my husband and I's life. Like we met and we were married very quickly. And then literally 3 weeks after we got married, we were stuck in this RV for 3 weeks renovating it to get it prepared to leave. And then we actually went to New York and stayed in a 400 square foot apartment for 6 weeks. And then we came back to live in an RV. So we have been in very close quarters. Yeah, for a long, like basically our whole marriage. So it's been a lot. But I think it's really God stretching us. I think it's really God preparing us for something. And we talk about this all the time because the fact that we don't really get friction is amazing. We don't really have fights, but when you do, like when you're having a bad day, you can't just get away from someone. Like you don't have this big house like before that. When we first got married, we lived in a 3 bedroom, huge home. Like we didn't, I don't have that now. Like if I have a bad day, I can't just run away from him. I really have to face and be vulnerable and authentic. And I think it's strengthening us in ways that I don't even know I know the extent of yet, which is really cool to see. Like, and honestly, like I think we're gonna look back at this and be like, whoa, God was really putting us in such close environments to prepare us for something that was coming. Because yeah, we get along great. It's to your best friend. Like we have so much fun together. But it's also, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a hard season. We both feel like we've been in the wilderness season for quite some time. I'm actually walking through immigration right now, being from Canada and then coming to the US. And then also like this past weekend, our dog passed away, and like I've been grieving that for the last couple days, and like that is a hard thing, but none of it has caused actual friction. It's just caused us to have to communicate on a whole nother level and really be patient and understand and give each other grace on those days that we're not our best selves and we are impatient or frustrated at something. And so that's been really cool to see. So I wouldn't say that there's friction, but it's really given us the opportunity to grow so much as a newly wed couple that I don't even think that we know the extent of yet.
That's powerful. That's super powerful. That's huge that you all I don't think most women would choose to live in an RV in the beginning of their marriage. So that's super brave. That's super close quarters. And that's real. And then you mentioned the aspect of community. I miss that aspect of community, right? When you go through passages of the Bible, you read and you find out that everybody had a community around the family. Like the family was really focused on what do you need, helping the loved ones, helping each other, looking after one another. You really had that, and that was really powerful. And what you don't have is community today. I feel like I really feel like you don't have community where if I have a problem in my marriage, in my relationship, and I go tell my mom or dad, they're gonna say, leave him. Don't stay with him. I really miss the community aspect where, if I come talk to you as my mother and I say, Mom, my wife is driving me nuts. What you're gonna say is go back and talk to your spouse. Go work it out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'll take the kids for the weekend if there's kids. and go and talk to your husband. I miss that aspect of community. So when you said that that's kind of hard with the traveling and the moving, that's really showing that you really have to be up in prayer, and you really gotta be.
Mhm.
What do you do when it gets hard? Because you said you can't retreat, but there has to be some kind of release. Do you just lock yourself in the prayer toilet and you just like, listen, I need 10 minutes? And you're like, get away from me, go do something. Like, what do you do? What are some tips to help those people who are struggling in relationships, but they feel kind of trapped?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say again, it comes back to communication. Like, there's been moments where we've had to sit down and talk and say, like, hey, like, because right now we're pulling an RV, which means we're driving a huge truck, which I don't like driving in cities. So it's like, I can't just like grab the vehicle and go drive somewhere. Most of the time, I don't feel comfortable with that. So whether
And
that's
leave
like,
him
hey, I
stranded.
need to go for yeah, exactly. And so sometimes it is like, "Hey, why don't you go to a coffee shop and work, and I'm gonna stay here and work." And again, it's just communicating like our needs of like, or sometimes it's like, "Hey, I need to just go have a day on my own. Do you mind just dropping me off here? And like, I'm just gonna go do my thing while you do your thing." Or, "Hey, I'm just gonna go
Mhm.
and leave you for a couple hours in the RV. I'm gonna go do some errands and give you the space." And I think
Yeah.
again, it just all comes down to communication, like knowing yourself well enough to actually recognize what you need and then being able to communicate to your spouse what it is that you need in that moment. Because I am a very independent person. I always have been, and getting married was so challenging because all of a sudden I wasn't independent. Now I'm in a box, not having my independence at all. And so again, I feel like I'm being tested a lot in this season with that. But I think it all comes down to just like, hey, I respect my husband so much to be able to like, hey, talk to him and say, you know what, I just need some me time. I need some time where I can feel like I'm independent, like I'm still me, and like let's figure that out. Let's work through that. And so, yeah, I think it just comes down to being self-aware to know what you recognizing
Yes.
what you need and then being able to communicate that is so important.
Powerful, powerful. Miss
It's okay
Apples,
to have your space.
it is okay to have your space. Not too
Mhm.
much space. I would be
No.
terrified. I would be terrified if I saw my wife drive off with a truck and just left me with an RV. Yeah, like, is she coming back? Did she just leave me in Vegas? I would be horrified. Like, all right, I saw this in a movie one time. I saw this in Thriller. I'm to be terrified. Miss Apples, how can someone communication is key. Communication is absolutely key. It is crucial. It is necessary in everything. It is absolutely it's one of the things we're not good at. Uncommunicated expectations. I think that's like a big
Mhm.
killer in relationships. Um, I was wondering. Okay, I was wondering, how can people get started? How can people connect? Right, if I wanted to get started today on Christian Singles Hub, how can someone get enrolled?
Yeah, so we have a app. If you actually go to the christiansingleshub.com/podcast, because you watched this episode, you'll actually get 7-day free trial to the hub. And so yeah, so go get your 7-day free trial, but everything else can be found at the christiansingleshub.com. That's going to show you our retreats, our summer camp, the hub app, any virtual speed dating events we got going on, any virtual events, all of the things that we got going on, plus all the in-person events we're doing as well.
Speed dating, speed dating. I trauma. Sorry, that was trauma. That was me and my trauma just showing itself.
You would like it actually. Last night we did a Love is Blind speed dating, so no one could see each other, and they had to match based on personality. So we'll see.
I've this is this see we're working our way up to AD and Clay. It's gonna have another AD and Clay, and now they're like, oh, I gotta say no to you at the altar. Oh, heartbreak
Maybe, who
central.
knows?
Speed dating, speed dating. But powerful, powerful. You all check it out. Get on the app. Get your 7-day free trial. Check it out. This is dope. This is necessary. This is mandatory. We are asking all our followers, check this out. What's the word? If nothing you've done so far has worked, why not try something new? Try something different. If worst case scenario, you can always go back to sinning. You know, hell got plenty of room. No, but check this out. Get online, get connected. Miss Apples, you've left so many nuggets today. Is there any final nuggets? You've dropped so many gems this episode. Is there any other nuggets you want to just give to that young boy, that young girl that needs encouragement in the dating app? Because it's trash out here. I don't know if, you out the dating game, but it's still trash out here. Any final encouragements to that young boy, that young girl?
I think dating is so hard. I would say don't lose yourself in it. It's so easy to get so wrapped up in the dating apps that you start losing yourself. You start losing your self-worth. You start losing your identity. Like, truly, like, none of that will actually solve your problems. Like, even if you meet someone and you're in a headspace where you've already lost yourself, it's not going to work out so good. So, truly, like, being able to be self-aware enough to know, like, when you should be on an app and when you shouldn't be on an app, and going to the Lord first and making sure, like, you feel peace about something, because dating is not a one size fits all formula that works. Just because I met my husband on a dating app doesn't mean you're going to meet your husband or wife on a dating app. So just truly seeking the Lord and making sure there's peace in every step of your life.
Love it. Love it. Told y'all the truth. Spilling the tea. Get your 7-day free trial. Check them out. Get online. Connect. You all, we got to let Miss Apples go. She has an RV trip to continue. She has a world trip to continue. And she has a marriage to continue to grow in love. And we love it. We are supporting it. And we are here for it. And we are praying for you. Continue to go with God. And be safe. Be safe. Our RV is a big, big monster. That thing is huge. So thank you all for being here. Miss Apples, thank you for being here. Thank you for spreading love. Thank you for spreading what you do and helping us get to a better place. I want to say this to you publicly. We want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. Don't give up. We need what you're doing because you're changing the world. Literally changing the world. So we got to let her go.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We got to let her go, y'all. Thank you all for joining us on another fantastic, dynamic episode of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. This is Miss Michelle Apples from Christian Singles Hub, Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the incredible, wrong way,
Karmea wears the Orthodox Southern Belle.
Thank you all for joining us. Like we always say, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. We love you guys. Signing off. Bye.